Good afternoon, my friends. This is VJ Franz K. I thought I would show this sequence which imitates features of probability for the drums. Sort of IDM sounding sequence. I'll show you how it works, but first here's the whole sequence. It has the sound of random drums and random sequence. As you know, the Electribe X series does not include probability for drums, but I figured out a way to sort of imitate it here and to do other things as well. So let's see. So I put the kick drum on the 1 and the 9, and then the snare on the 5 and 13 in order to, these are the drums with full probability, you might say. So then on channel 3, added these extra notes, but on channel 4 and 5 I have these kick drums which may seem to sound or not, and then these extra snares which may seem to sound or not, and add them together with these which may be considered the 100% likelihood. And then you have a sequence that's kind of like probability. And so how am I doing that? Well, on this channel 4, I'm using the modulation, which is the LFO basically. And I have it on random, and I have the random assigned to the amp. And so it's doing something with randomness, making random adjustments, but then I turn the depth down to negative 63, the lowest it can go basically. So what it's doing is it's randomly taking away the volume from the drums. So the drums continue to sound, but sometimes they have little or no volume, so they may be perceived to be off. And then basically I made two identical patches with the same, or two identical voices with the same drum sound, so they can be interpreted as being the same track, but actually they're two separate tracks. One with the imitation probability there. So here's the snares, same thing, and I might change the speed. Now originally when I thought about this idea, I was thinking I would use the modulation with this the square wave instead of the random wave. But unfortunately, on this particular device, it looks like the start of the square wave, is linked to the beginning of a percussion sound. It begins again every time the percussion is triggered, so you're not able to get the result that I wanted out of a square wave on this machine. Other machines may implement the LFO differently, so that might work. And that would be a better solution actually than the random, just because it would, as you know, a square wave is 100% up and down. But anyway, for years I've used these LFO modulations in interesting ways, because a lot of drum machines don't have an LFO that works on the drums. They'll have an LFO that works maybe on other things, but like the synthesizer voices, but not the drums. But Particularly the ESX is very open in what you can modulate and what you can not. So then for these other voices, I thought I'll use the random modulation. And modulation, it may or may not be random, but here I have this synthesizer sound. It's just going up and down in terms of this triangle wave. But because the speed is set to something unusual, it doesn't follow the sequence. The wave of the modulation goes at its own tempo, so it's out of sync with the main BPM, and you can activate the BPM sync as well, but there's not that many options to choose from to get something that doesn't go along with the sequence. So then here, over here, I have this, it's a house organ, and it's just doing random pitches. You can see again the random wave, except this time it's assigned to pitch. And if I wanted to, I could add motion sequences to this as well. Could add motion sequences to this as well. Can be interesting to motion sequence some variation into your synthesizer voices on the Electribe EMX. Now the modulation is a bit too fast there. But if it's slower than one note, then it will basically it's sample and hold. So another thing I used here is the grain shifter. I always like the grain shifter as well, because depending on what the settings are, it has these unusual sort of semi-random sounding transformations of the sound. And for these little zapping voices, I also use the pitch modulating there. So on the hats, I have just straight across filled in 16s, but the amplifier is being modulated by the random. So if you have something like this, then add your own modulations on top of it. Pretty soon, it's an interesting sequence. What happened there? Maybe the power is loose. Anyway, thank you for watching. VJ Franz K. Please subscribe for more interesting. Yeah, the power cable is loose. That's what happened. Alright. Sorry about that. Make sure everything is plugged in properly. But these power cables are nice. It's a very sort of thick connection. And as long as you actually have it plugged in correctly, things will be great. Please subscribe for more interesting synthesizer discussion on Electribes. I've been doing a lot with Deluge, which actually does have probability. And I've only kind of scratched the surface of what that can do. Other drum machines, synthesizers, and things as well. There it was. Because I saved the sequence, no problem. The Electribe X series, it's now outdated in some ways, but in so many other ways, it seems like the pinnacle of Korg drum machines. And I'm just wondering, once again, the attention is on the Volca series, but I've just never thought the Volca series was complicated enough, or just doesn't feel as complete as these Electribe X series. There's a reason why a lot of people are still using them, and in this world of people being interested in analog, myself too, why not have a Electribe which is as good as the Mini-Log or the Pro-Log? Why not a master level Electribe or something? Something for those of us who have been playing these machines for, well, if you think about it. We've had a long time to work on electribing, so somebody's got to be very good at it, right? And I was thinking it could be in some ways like the rhythm, or sort of a hybrid of analog and digital. So many ways to use this interestingly. I could assign this to, I guess I can't use this, I can't modulate the EG time on this machine, but I can motion sequence it. Another way to imitate random patterns is I could go down to the length and change the length to not 2 but 3. Then record seemingly random modulations here. The whole thing is all about getting modulations that don't match up with the time of your main sequence. So they may be perceived as being random, but they are random within useful parameters that you have decided. So many interesting possibilities with this machine. Anyway, please subscribe here on YouTube and consider becoming a Patreon subscriber. I'm going to be adding more things just for patrons. It'll be worth your while, trust me. So many interesting things you can do. I can even record a modulation to the speed of the allophone. I've got to head to the gig now.